Chanel DeVito. I'm the Inclusion Director with Pittsburgh Mercy Behavioral Health, and I'm going to introduce two of our speakers today. So Elissa Martel, she is the Special Projects Coordinator for Get Healthy Philly. In this role, she coordinates internships, volunteer opportunities for students that are seeking practical, hands-on experience in public health. She also co-facilitates a high school internship program that trains youth to be public health advocates and leaders in their schools. She also collaborates with partners across Philadelphia to address tobacco use and promote wellness in the Latinx and LGBTQ community. In addition, she also oversees Get Healthy Philly's arts-based partnerships and support youth prevention and tobacco-free initiatives. And then we have Daiyon Kpou. Daiyon is the wellness coordinator for the William Way LGBT Community Center, also in Philly. She's also a dedicated public health professional. In addition, she advocates towards tobacco cessation. I need some more coffee. And so, on LGBT people. So you mind giving both a round of applause?
Thank you.
Anytime.
Awesome, thank you all for being here. We're just gonna dive right in. So Clean Fears, this is about a cross-regional collaboration and pilot of This Free Life. And just for a show of hands, who is already familiar with This Free Life? Okay, cool, great, awesome.
So this is an overview of the presentation that we're going to present. So we're going to introduce the campaign, what inspired it, the intention behind the work that we did. The process and the partnerships, the context, the rationale, an overview of tobacco use in LGBT communities. We're going to review the media and the messaging that the campaign actually had, the successes and challenges, and ongoing work to engage LGBT people in Southeastern PA and Philadelphia.
Great. And you'll notice that we use a lot of the campaign creative in the slides too, so that's what you're seeing on the sidebars in most of the slides.
All right, so again, my name is Daiyon Kpou. I go by she, her, hers, and I am the wellness coordinator at William Way LGBT Community Center. The center is in Center City, Philadelphia, and they do a variety of programming. My work emphasizes tobacco cessation and addressing intimate partner violence in LGBT communities.
And my name is Elissa Martel. I use she, her, hers. I'm the Special Projects Coordinator at Get Healthy Philly, which is also known as the Division of Chronic Disease Prevention at the Health Department in Philadelphia. So we worked with a lot of different partners to make this campaign come to life in Philadelphia. So these are just a handful of some of the main folks who collaborated to bring this campaign to Philly and SEPA. You guys can come in. That's okay. So we got a lot of encouragement and support from the State Department of Health, of course, and this was a collaboration most closely between Smoke Free Philly, that's my office within the Department of Public Health in Philadelphia, the Tobacco Control Project in SEPA, which is underneath Health Promotion Council's umbrella, William Way and Bradbury Sullivan, both LGBT community centers that gave a lot of TA and insight on this campaign. And then Rescue is the agency that designed the campaign, and This Free Life, of course, is the name of the campaign we'll be focusing on. So our process overview, we had already been convening a monthly tobacco work group that focused specifically on the LGBTQ community and prevention tobacco control work. And that included representatives from the Health Department in Philadelphia, William Way, the Health Promotion Council, and then also TA from the Bradbury Sullivan Community Center out in Allentown. We got a lot of encouragement, like I mentioned, from the State Department of Health to launch this campaign. That's how we initially heard about it. And so we connected with FDA. They're the ones that created the campaign, and Rescue Agency. We primarily worked with Rescue Agency on actually executing and implementing the campaign, which we'll get into a little bit more later. So we determined the budget for the campaign, the duration and the expectations of all these different partners who were involved, and then received monthly campaign reports from Rescue, which we have a couple of screenshots of for you to get a sense of what those looked like. That basically said what events were happening in the field that were associated with the campaign and how were they received, in addition to the digital and social media. And we provided our local contacts as well to help boost the reach and the success of the campaign. And then we had a wrap up and debrief at the end of its short run. So why did we decide to do this partnership between SEPA and Philly? Well, we were already partnering on LGBTQ community outreach, as I mentioned. And we'll talk about that more later in the presentation. And we really wanted to broaden the reach and the impact and the potential of this campaign by covering more ground than, let's say, just Philadelphia or just SEPA. It was cost effective. We split the cost of this campaign pilot 50-50, so that's definitely a win. And there's also a lot of crossover naturally among these different areas of the state, right? So there's a lot of people who commute for work, for school, to socialize. So there's a natural kind of relationship between Philadelphia and the collar counties or the rest of SEPA.
So the regions that were covered in the pilot include these areas in southeastern Pennsylvania, which include these counties here. The activations that we did were in Philadelphia, Lancaster County, and Bucks County, but social media marketing was projected throughout all of the counties that are within that circle. And the rationale for this campaign, so This Free Life specifically works with LGBT young people between the ages of 18 to 24. And the reason why is because more than 2 million LGBT adults, there are more than 2 million LGBT adults, and they are twice as likely to smoke cigarettes. A part of the reason for that is that tobacco industries advertise heavily to LGBT people. Tobacco industries, they work off of the marginalization of certain communities of people to paint themselves as an ally, to paint the products that they have as a tool that can help reduce stress or to make people fit in more or to create like a social space for them. And so that advertising has led to the increased rates of smoking among LGBT young people. And it's estimated that about 30,000 LGBT people lose their lives every year due to tobacco.
So for more of a local context, we're very grateful to Bradbury Sullivan and the State Department of Health and other partners who launched the LGBTQ Health Needs Assessment, which we've gotten some really solid data from. So there were just under 5,000 Pennsylvanians who identify as LGBTQ who responded, and 30.2% reported that they used cigarettes some days or every day, and that's compared to about 18% of just the general Pennsylvania adult population. It was also higher among trans and gender conforming respondents at almost 37%, identifying as daily or everyday tobacco users. And the flip side is that almost 100% of respondents were interested in implementing healthy living strategies. So whether that's learning about how to eat healthily, be more physically active, and incorporating tobacco treatment strategies. So that's the really good news, right? And that's why we come up with interventions like this campaign to help support people in gaining access to more healthy living. And then this is just a snapshot from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey out of CDC, that in Philadelphia, 51% of youth who identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual reported experimentation with cigarettes compared to 29% of straight youth. So these are really significant health disparities. So as Daiyon mentioned, a big piece of this landscape that influenced the implementation of this campaign is that we're basically undoing the damage that the tobacco industry has already done. Unfortunately, the industry was way ahead of public health advocates and LGBTQ community advocates in terms of getting queer people interested and using tobacco at very high rates. So here are just some examples over the last couple decades of how marketing has been used to target queer communities. And this is another example. Kind of hard to see, but that says whenever someone yells, "Dude, that's so gay, we'll be there." That's a Lucky Strike ad. And it seems ridiculous, but these were really salient messages, 10, 20, or 30 years ago. And Project SCUM stands for Subculture Urban Marketing. This is a real tobacco industry document that used to be kept under lock and key and now has been exposed. This was a major company plan to boost sales among homeless and gay populations in San Francisco. So that's what they really think of us.
So an overview of the campaign. So This Free Life is a nationwide campaign. It happens in, I think, 12 cities across the country. It's a $35 million campaign. And the goal is to prevent and reduce tobacco use among LGBT young adults who use tobacco occasionally. And it encourages young people to draw inspiration from their peers. So the goal is to create an ecosystem of people exchanging information about reasons why they live tobacco free or things that they can consider if they want to become tobacco free, and normalizing that type of conversation to hopefully impact the behaviors of more people. And so the campaign took form, it kind of had two ways that it existed. So there was digital advertising, so so these are the 12 markets, right? So Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. So there was digital marketing that happened. The goal was to reach young people through social media because that's where we are. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I believe they were on Tumblr as well. And then also having local events within those different cities. So to kind of bring the online messaging in a physical manifestation. So you would have events that were tobacco free and fun, and they would have drag performers to again encourage people to consider the benefits of living tobacco free. So the social branding that This Free Life took on came from Rescue Agency, which was the agency that facilitated it. So this was kind of like the 3 steps that they took towards changing the behavior or attempting to change the behavior of LGBT young people. So to establish an authentic social brand, to change beliefs, to change perceived norms, and then hopefully that will change the behavior. So that's why, and again, these are more images from This Free Life. They try to use images that really reach people where they are to embrace people of different backgrounds, of different gender expressions, and to kind of change the norm around the ways that we can live in relation to tobacco and the marketing that is made towards LGBT people.
And here's some of the key campaign messages and goals, some of which we've already touched on. So This Free Life appeals to shared values, lived experience, and common interests among LGBTQ young adults. It reflects the desire to be free, which the tobacco industry has also used. I don't know if you caught that in one of our earlier slides, but they use a lot of messaging around freedom and independence and rebellion. So it's kind of taking that and spinning it on its head to be promoting of a tobacco-free lifestyle. And so that connects with the tagline of the campaign, freedom to be tobacco-free. It's driven by positive change and knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs among queer young adults, in particular who are occasional smokers or social smokers. It highlights the negative health consequences and risks of tobacco use, in addition to the dangerous mix of chemicals that can be found in cigarette smoke. And it shows how tobacco use negatively affects aspects of life that are important to LGBTQ young adults. So, and then on the flip side, showing that a tobacco-free lifestyle aligns with our inherent LGBTQ community norms and ideals. So some of the details of the media buy that Philadelphia and SEPA did. So it ran from June 1st, 2018 to November 30th, 2018. The buy was approximately, it was just shy of 180K, and we split that 50-50 for the execution. As we mentioned, it ran in Philadelphia County and the 7 surrounding counties, Berks, Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Lancaster, Montgomery, and Schuylkill counties. Rescue, and Daiyon, I should say, was very involved. She was our market manager for the campaign. So she's wearing a different hat today, but was very involved in implementing this campaign at the time. So Rescue and Daiyon implemented a total of 10 events in Philly and surrounding areas, which included branded equipment and incentives. We brought a couple to show you, like this hat and this fabulous fan. So heavy on branding and creating incentives and materials that would really resonate and be fun for event attendees and for young people. They incentivized peer-to-peer engagement, like Daiyon mentioned, and then the social and digital media was also an active part of this campaign. So there were, time permitting, we'll show you a couple example videos of the campaign, but we recommend you take a deep dive after this onto their website because it's really fun. They're on Tumblr, they're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and have an active website presence. So this is just a snapshot from the Philadelphia final report. We had 1.5 million social impressions from this campaign. So it actually did have a pretty significant reach in, again, a short period of time, just June to November. 1,000+ unique engagements at those 5 events that we had in Philly, and then there were 5 events that were outside in the collar counties. So quite a few video and link clicks as well. So I would say it was pretty successful in its implementation.
All right, so we have some of the video that This Free Life created during their digital marketing, or for their digital marketing. The sound might not be very loud, but we have the closed caption turned on, so
You can just exit and it's pulled up on Chrome.
Okay, so I have to exit out of the presentation? Do y'all know who Shangela is? So Shangela's like, so I'm a big Drag Race fan, and Shangela's like one of the biggest Drag Race like participants. So this one has, so this advertisement here features a lot of Drag Race performers, and they're just very big influencers because Drag Race is one of the biggest, probably actually the biggest LGBT like platform.
I'm known for my cute face and flawless skin. I'm known to be a queen with a sensible nail. Hair. Known for that. My smile. I'll be known for a lot of things, but I will never be known for wrinkled skin. Yellow nails, smelly hair, or a busted smile. All caused by what? Smoking. Yes, queen. Every cigarette is doing you damage. Because I'm known for my flaws. I live free from tobacco.
So do we think that was successful?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And there's a whole series called Lessons in Flawless, which are drag queens giving lessons on how to live tobacco-free and the different effects it can have on your appearance. This one's a little bit different tone.
I'm doing this.
Born in a black and white world, we saw color in the mirror. Our sexuality, our gender, our identity were never quite understood. I am transgender, but we eventually found love for our own truth.
I love you no matter what in the world.
And now joy is on the horizon. Health and happiness, these are our new destinations. But a factor that seems casual to some in the community can get in our way. Like tobacco. Yes, that moment at the bar, the occasional cigarette. It can undermine our future. Smoking can damage nearly every part of our bodies. Its addiction siphons money from our pockets, and it claims tens of thousands of LGBT lives every year. So why now inflict this damage to ourselves? No, this new life, free from judgment, free from the shadows, will also be free from tobacco.
This free life. Freedom to be tobacco free. Visit us at This Free Life.
Yeah, that one made me cry the first time I saw it. Yeah, what do people think? I'm just curious. Any like responses to either of those two? You guys?
Great. A lot of anti-smoking messages can involve like sort of punitive, like paternalistic, being like finger wag, no. But this is more of like a positive move, like a directional thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that was one thing that was emphasized when I was managing the campaign, that we wanted to use positive language. So instead of saying anti-tobacco, it's living free from tobacco. And even like during the activations that we had, we never used like judgmental language. Even on the giveaways that we had, like the hat and stuff, it's like, it's fun, it's bright colors. We want to kind of invite you into the experience instead of like making you feel that you're being judged for perhaps engaging in tobacco use.
I like in the second one how it presents, it's like, these aren't values, these are just stats of what happens with cigarettes. Like, it's money, it's literal lives, and these are just, we're not judging you, but these are just the facts. And the music drops out instead of like, it doesn't become sad music, it's just like, happy things.
Yeah, it makes you feel hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. So this is a screenshot. Is this my phone? Okay, I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking over you. So this is a screenshot of the This Free Life website. So they have, they're coming out with a game, again, involving more drag artists that are very popular. There's connections to their social media, information on how to live tobacco-free in events. So it's kind of all-inclusive, all the things that they do. And it's entertaining as well, which is a nice thing that people have access to. And this is another extension of the website. And again, they use bright colors, they use affirming language, and they try to connect with young people where they are. So these are some of the events that I managed when I was doing This Free Life. This event is called Fade, it's in Philadelphia. The organization or the collective that hosts this event, they serve Black and brown LGBT people, more like including people who are women and femme-identified, but they bring out a diverse audience. So this was like the photo booth that we had, which again is very positive, is very inviting. And then there's like the light up table that was also used. So the branding was kind of consistently at the event, yeah. But again, it was always positive affirmations. This was the Pride Festival, and they had another kind of photo booth, again with the same kind of bright colors and activations there as well. Also during events, they would have trivia questions. So in order for people to take photos at the photo booth or get glitter done or do other activities, they had to answer trivia questions. So that was kind of a way to put educational materials into the fun activations. This was my favorite event. So this was a ball that happened in September, and it was right around the time that people go back to school. So the theme was back to school, and so you see people in like the high socks and like the pleated skirts, like. So they created a category around being tobacco free. The category was, I think it was something about like free and fierce or something like that. But the theme was soft skin, pretty teeth, smelling good. You know, like being free of tobacco basically. And like when you're free of tobacco, you don't smell like cigarettes. Your skin is softer, and so that was the theme. And so they actually like grabbed the props that we had. So like the fan giveaways, some people grabbed hats and they like worked it down the runway, which was a nice way to put tobacco messaging into like an authentic, fun experience that people had. And they did an amazing performance. And this is Outfest. So in Philadelphia, we have Pride is in June, and then we have National Coming Out Day. During that time, we celebrate Outfest. So again, we had the tent with the backdrop of the photo booth. We gave away fans, and we had a team of brand ambassadors here. So that's that group right there of people that help facilitate that event. And then for Halloween, which is, I feel like queer people love Halloween because you get to dress up and be something different. And so again, we had an influencer at that event that was able to bring people on stage, and they were doing a performance about living tobacco free, and people were able to kind of like model that and perform that in whatever way felt authentic for them. And so that was another way that we got tobacco messaging during that event.
Shout out to Daiyon. I don't know if you caught this fabulous picture there on the end.
Yeah. I was really inspired by Black Panther because it had come out then. So this is some feedback that This Free Life got from either brand ambassadors or people who attended the events. So I'll just read a few. I finally feel like I found my people, my core group in our community needs this. They need us, we're all in this together. Plus, I mean, come on, this is so much fun. I know smoking is bad, but I needed this reminder, especially at this party. I quit 2 years ago, but my best friend still does, and it's been hard. And I'll read this last one. I recognize the logo on your shirt from across the street. I've seen you guys in other cities. How can I get involved? So that's kind of a cool part of the ecosystem that's created. If there's someone who's visiting Philadelphia Pride from New York, they might have seen This Free Life in New York, and then they're seeing it again. So it kind of builds that, it's like that consistent engagement in tobacco-free messaging, which is great. And this was another party that I really enjoyed because it was winter themed. And we made a snowman out of foam balls. And I enjoyed that.
Great. So some successes from the campaign. As we've demonstrated, hopefully this is a really innovative and creative approach to tobacco control and prevention. This is a ready-to-go media campaign, so we didn't have to design any creative, we didn't have to do any of the implementation or posting. Rescue took care of all of that. They also hired Daiyon as the market manager and the team of brand ambassadors, so those were hired employees through the campaign. It created temporary local jobs, which was definitely a bonus. And it uses LGBTQ events, like we've shown, to promote positive health messages. The best events that they found were either ones that recurred monthly, large festivals like Pride or Outfest, or ones that happen during peak holidays like Halloween, just to draw in more crowds. And from their preliminary data, there was high brand awareness. People were aware of the brand and the campaign and recognized it out in the field. And the video ads, which we showed you, were received positively. They were seen as effective, powerful, memorable, and meaningful. And this is the first time that we launched a campaign of this kind in Pennsylvania. And I believe it's the first national campaign that specifically focuses on tobacco prevention among LGBTQ young adults. So that's a win, and that's significant. In terms of challenges, so being that this was an FDA-owned campaign, there are some limitations there. There are some proprietary issues with the creative, so we weren't allowed to like co-brand, for example, and put our logos on the bottom of a poster like this. There were some limitations with our access to see the social media posts so that we could look at the engagement, how many likes did something get, what were the different comments. Everything had to be funneled through Rescue as the participating agency. And the campaign evaluation is still in process, so we have really limited insights on how this is doing like nationally and then in those target markets that we discussed before. Daiyon can speak more to this, I think, but finding adequate venues and events across the region was a challenge. I think it was a little bit easier in Philly than in SEPA. I don't know if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, it was difficult because our target audience is 18 to 24 and most venues are 21 and older. So then if we did do events at bars and clubs, then we had like, it was hard to get people between 21 to 24. Like that was our target. That was like the, does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Spot.
Yeah, like that was like the sweet spot we could get. So we had to sometimes do, find events in different venues or try to convince people to do their events in different venues, which is very difficult because people have their vision of what they want, you know, their event to look like. So that was a bit of a difficulty, but we were able to make that happen.
Yeah, and I would just add to that one of the issues is that a lot of the queer bars outside of Philadelphia are smoky spaces. So having to negotiate with the venue or the manager to maybe say, okay, if we're gonna have a This Free Life event here, then it needs to be a tobacco-free night at the very least if you're not gonna change your whole policy. So doing some of that negotiations is complicated. And then it was a short-lived campaign, so it was only June to November. We wish we could have had more funds to extend. So that was definitely a challenge, and the jobs that were created did not extend beyond the short duration of that campaign. So that was another challenge.
So this slide kind of details the ongoing work to engage LGBT people in southeastern Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. So currently there is community outreach that happens. Now that I am no longer working with This Free Life, I work with William Way. So what William Way does outreach at LGBT events. So William Way does tabling at Pride. William Way does, you know, like we'll go to LGBT community centers and do tobacco trivia nights. I know the organizations in southeastern PA do work in bars and clubs that are out there, as well as schools. And there's a paid community outreach team, so a team of volunteers. And yeah, we also provide educational materials, training, services, and we try to have detailed messaging for the people that we engage. So again, continue that conversation about resources that are available to them and considerations for living tobacco-free. And we're working towards having smoke-free prides and kind of promoting smoke-free lifestyles in like queer spaces. So I know that there are some prides in southeastern PA that are tobacco-free, which is great, and there's some work being done to make Philadelphia tobacco-free as well.
Yeah, so these are just some images of some of the work happening in Philadelphia and SEPA, what this looks like. So This Free Life is just one piece of a larger strategy, or a big piece of Daiyon and my day-to-day is really doing tobacco prevention work in the queer communities in the region. So we're out there. And this Kiss Me I'm Smoke Free is a temporary tattoo that we made last year, so that was fun. Yeah, so pictures from New Hope, from Philly, from Chester County and Lancaster Prides. A lot of good work happening, and this just fit in really nicely to the community outreach that was already underway. And then here are just a couple of examples of how we've tailored some of our own internal flyers, brochures, messages to be representative and diverse and feature lots of different kinds of LGBTQ people. And this is partially inspired by This Free Life and other campaigns like it that are really putting very colorful and tailored messaging out there that specifically targets this community.
So this slide just talks about some of the tools that This Free Life used to inspire the campaign, and perhaps ideas that we all can take from the work that was done. So when it comes to engaging communities of people, creative marketing is something that I think is very relevant, especially considering that we live in the digital age and social media is very prevalent, and people like accessibility through digital content is very relevant. So embracing that more in public health messaging, there's evidence that that is very effective. Diverse imagery, this photo up top pretty much is an example of that. You want to make sure that you can reach diverse audiences of people who don't often feel welcomed or feel represented, to have content that is kind of like directly inviting them into the experience and showing that you genuinely care for them and for the community that they live within is very impactful. Positive messaging, again, using language like tobacco-free instead of anti-tobacco, using, inspiring language, hopeful messaging. Going to where the people are. So one of the reasons why I was hired to be the manager for the campaign is because I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. So I was able to, I knew where the drag performances happen, where the balls are, where the alternative party scenes that, that cater to people that don't necessarily go to the mainstream spots are. And I was able to kind of reach people directly where they are and to let them know that the campaign genuinely cared for them and for their wellness. Involving local partners, leaders, and influencers. As I mentioned in the previous slides, we engage local drag artists, local Vogue performers, local MCs for our events. Non-traditional, fun, educational marketing materials, targeted social media, again, we live in the digital age. Sharing cost, DIY photo booths. People love taking pictures. I learned that through This Free Life. So photo booths can be a very strong tool for getting the messaging out. It's like a permanent, memory item that people have when they take away from their events. So it's a good reminder that they can have as they look at that photo in the future. And then incentives, the giveaways.
Yeah, and I have one pair, but we got rid of 300 rainbow sunglasses at Pride between Daiyon and I this year. So, each year we try to make a different incentive. These were little necklaces last year that were really popular. So we may not be able to get flat brim hats or fancy fans at this current moment with our budgets, but we try to, think outside the box and create materials that people are going to want.
Yeah.
And squeeze the health message kind of in there, sort of subtly.
The temporary tattoos are really popular too. Because people love to decorate themselves during Pride. So it's just hey, here's one more thing you can put on, your shoulder, on your face, or whatever if you want to.
Great. So some resources. Some of these are tobacco control related, and then a number of these. The first 3 links are actually free sources for photographs. So you don't need to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to launch a mass media campaign. I mean, you can if your organizations are up for that, and that's an option. But there are also sources for free, diverse, beautiful, high-quality photographs out there that you can use for your own social media and your own marketing materials, like some of the flyers that we showed. And this is all, the slides are in the app, so you'll have access to all of this information. That's all we had prepared, and I know we're just shy of noon. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
It's not a question, but I just want to applaud you guys for putting the positive spin on that, because in general, when it comes to substance use of any kind, the fear tactics and scare tactics I just think are completely ineffective. And I think a lot more campaigns need to move in this direction, in the positive direction. And I think that draws people in a lot more.
Great,
so it's good to know that you guys are doing this.
Well, we can't take credit for creating it, but
but you're
Rescue.
part of it, big part of it.
Yeah, you should check out Rescue and FDA. Fresh Empire is another one that's geared toward people of color, young people of color. That's also has a very similar vibe, and yeah.
Fresh Empire is cool because they do concerts.
Yeah.
So that's really nice.
Yeah.
So that was something that This Free Life didn't do. We didn't do concerts, but Fresh Empire, I think they've had. I don't know, but I don't know the exact audience because Fresh Empire works with people 13 to 18. So I don't know the artists that they enjoy, but people are really excited about it.
Thank you. Other comments or questions?
So, I guess I'm thinking about Philly because I'm from Philly, but where do you think this stuff is sort of housed now in organizations? Like, what organizations have like either picked it up, like picked up the torch, or like is this work continuing in any particular organizations? Obviously, PA Department of Health, William Way, Private Attic, but are there any others?
That's a great question. Yeah.
So the question is other organizations that are doing work similar to this Free Life?
Yeah, or even engaging in this campaign, like, you know,
Queer young people.
materials, we have them and then, you know, we don't need them and they kind of get places, hopefully. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not sure if I can name other organizations off the top of my head that are doing work that's exactly similar to this. I know that there are other LGBT health, like other LGBT organizations that that work towards promoting health. And I know William Way has worked with them in some capacity. The first organizations that come to my mind are Mazzoni's. Oh, I could also mention the Punch Card thing. So yeah, sorry, my mind is like all over the place. So there are other organizations like Mazzoni Center, Philadelphia Family Pride, and the Punch Card thing that I mentioned is that there was a collaboration that we did.
Well, someone came up to our booth and was like, "Do you have a punch card?"
Yeah. Oh, really?
And no, we did not, unfortunately. But
okay, yeah. So during Pride, we had a punch card and it was tobacco trivia, and we partnered. There was 5 organizations in total that partnered, and people had to go to each table to get a punch in their card. And in order to get the punch, they had to answer tobacco trivia, and then we gave them small giveaway stickers and temporary tattoos. So it's kind of a nice way to get people thinking about tobacco facts and, you know, potentially considering to change behaviors around tobacco use by engaging with our different partner organizations.
Yeah, that was great. I hope we do more collaborations like that in the future. And to address the other piece of your question, I would say one reason why I'm really grateful to campaigns like this Free Life is that tobacco is not high on the list of priorities for a lot of our queer communities and organizations. So William Way has been a phenomenal partner, Bradbury Sullivan, the LGBT Center in Central PA, but we've had some very promising initial conversations with other smaller nonprofits, like in Philly specifically Galay, the Attic, Mazzoni's Brave Schools program, but as I think we all know, because we've been sitting at this conference for the last 2 days, there's just deep need, mental health, bullying, violence. There's a lot of other priorities in the community, and tobacco often kind of falls to the wayside. So I think having more visible, positive messages and campaigns like this out there will hopefully get the word out basically and make it more of a community priority. But it's something that we've struggled with, is engaging like new partners to kind of be on the bandwagon of tobacco prevention. Yeah. Any other questions? I know it's lunchtime, so be respectful of your time. Great, well, thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it.